Right, so that's the intro to the show.
Couple of Kingstons.
Oh, my cable is stuck.
Bit of tea.
That's because some idiot keeps winding and pushing the microphone the other way than he should.
Clockwise, not anti-clockwise.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
The fuck are you done? Hello out there in Internetland. This is the F1 Chat, episode 14 of the 2023 season. You can tell we're really on fire because we're enjoying a nice cup of tea on a cold, rainy...
It's freezing.
It's slightly cold, yes. Slightly sub-zero. Mortal Kombat! John's fucking about with his microphone.
How about our pommy summer over here?
Yeah. Oh,
Saving the ashes.
Yeah, we won the Ashes.
Yay!
Yay!
Retained.
Yes. Eat a dick, England. But, you know, I mean, we beat them in the cricket, kind of. But they kind of smashed us in the F1.
Yeah.
So this is episode 14 of the 2023 season. We just watched the Hungary F1 last night, this morning. I will admit I missed a couple of laps on it. But, you know, these things happen when it's on at fucking 11:30 in the at night. So
Yeah. I managed to watch half of it this morning, but that was all I got through. I had to finish off with the highlights, unfortunately.
But we might sound a little bit distracted because we have a nice cup of tea and some Kingston biscuits. So, yeah. But
It's alright, I'm here unwinding my microphone stand because
Yeah.
Still getting ready.
I'm about as prepared as the Ferrari strategy department. So.
Oh, no, you're more prepared than them. You
All
are
their
more
pit-
prepared than
all
them.
that
saying
pit crew throwing in a nice 9-second pit stop.
But how can they bugger up a pit stop? How?
Well, yeah, I mean, it was Leclerc, right? He got done for speeding and then he got a 9-second pit stop.
Yeah,
They
just
they
on
couldn't
song.
They couldn't get one of the wheels off properly.
Yeah, well.
And then he wound up losing his finishing position to George Russell because George Russell was in like 5 seconds of him.
Yeah.
Good
Right.
day. Good
Yeah, it
day.
was a good day at the office. Yeah. Oddly enough, I don't think he was he had the worst day at the office. But
Cool, no.
yeah, we're talking about the Hungary F1 race, Hungary Grand Prix. I'll get the name of it right eventually.
The Hungarian Grand Prix.
That's the geezer.
From the Hungaroring in Budapest.
You're a pest. We're playing it very loose today, aren't we? We're just
There's no show structure at the moment.
no. I've got the structure in front of me. I just biscuit.
Biscuit. Biscuit.
Family.
Didn't we have this
Eject
problem last time we had biscuits? You had too many biscuits and you just
Yeah, we had
Couldn't think
we had
straight.
too many biscuits. Yeah, yeah.
too many
Because I'm
biscuits.
such a
Yeah,
fuckhead.
he was a big fuckhead.
Yeah. Ejectocito, cuz. Right. So, at this race, there was an F2 race. So we're going to hand it over to Longhorn to do the F1 results. The
F2
F2
results.
The F2 results.
F2 results. There's the bloopers at the start. Yeah, the F2 results. So we hand it over to the Horn of Long.
That is me.
Yes.
And we might have got beaten by the Poms in the F1, but we certainly did in the F2 this weekend.
Hey!
With Jack Doohan taking pole to start off. So that was a nice start for us Aussies there. And then in the sprint race, give you the podium there, we had Dennis Hauger take out his first win this year. In second, we had Ayumu Wasa. And third, we had Oliver Behrman. And then we move over to the feature race, where I'm delighted to tell everyone, Jack Doohan took it out.
He did. I watched it. What a great drive.
He led it from start to finish.
He dominated it.
Yep. It was a great drive from him. Hopefully we can see some more of that for the
Yeah.
rest of the year. That'd be nice.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. But, yeah, Jack Doohan, the young Aussie, dominated from start to finish. It's what we want to see. Great race from him. And then after him, in second place, we had Frederick Festi, the still championship leader. I think it was down to a point this race between him and Teo Pourchaire. So some couple of extra points to go further in the lead ahead of Pourchaire, as Pourchaire only came down to 6. In third, Victor Martins to round out the podium places. In fourth, for Yuma Wasa. In fifth, Isaac Hadjar. Sixth, Teo Pocher. Seventh, Dennis Hauger. Eighth, Enzo Fittipaldi. Ninth, Juan Manuel Carrera. And 10th, Richard Forshaw. And that's the results.
Sweet. So, Jack Doohan, he is the Alpine reserve driver, is he not?
He is, yes.
Yes.
It's the only thing in Alpine colours that had a good weekend.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, they had a shocker, didn't
like we sit here and say that Ferrari had a shocker, like Alpine.
Alpine's had 2 shockers in a row.
they?
Yeah.
They're going bad at the moment, aren't they?
Well,
It's not looking good for old Otmar.
well, we'll discuss it after the F1 report, but
Yeah.
just the liner notes of it are, it's not their fault. This was not
Technically,
their fault.
it's not. No, yeah, it's
No,
definitely
actually,
not.
it really wasn't their
Yeah,
fault.
It's not.
But speaking of the F1 report, we hand it over to JB for
Yeah.
the F1 report.
The F1 report, the 2023 Qatar Airways Hungarian Grand Prix from the Hungaroring in Budapest.
Nice little sponsorship addy in there.
I'm
Keen to
I'm
see
wor-
that money start coming into our pockets, JB.
I'm working on
Appreciate
it, mate.
Yeah.
You know, if the Middle Easterns want to start supporting our show, you know, I'm always a proponent of using oil in everything that I do.
What, like Valvoline?
Cooking and everything.
Driving my car, putting fuel in it, you know.
Making a cup of tea, Kingston biscuits.
Absolutely happy for
Dip
the
it in oil.
KFC fryers, McDonald's fryers.
Pizza Hut pizza makers.
Yeah, you know, I'm very pro oil, so if Qatar
the,
or
the plane that my girlfriend is flying back home on.
yeah, if you know, if Qatar or Saudi Arabia want to chip in some sponsorship money for all the oil we're using. Anyway, lap 1, Lewis Hamilton starts on pole position for the first time since Jeddah 2021, and for the first time this year that someone not driving a Red Bull has started on pole position. They actually had a chance to tie the record of like most consecutive pole positions by a manufacturer, and they didn't do it. They
No.
didn't do it. Lewis Hamilton stopped them by 3/1000th of a second. It was pretty awesome.
He would have been so happy with that.
Oh yeah.
He was pretty happy over the radio when it happened.
Oh, he was stoked until race day.
Yeah.
So yeah, Lewis Hamilton starts on pole position alongside Max Verstappen. Max squeezes Lewis wide and takes the lead into turn 1. Oscar Piastri slips into second. Lando Norris into third. Zhou Guanyu hits Daniel Ricciardo, the returning Daniel Ricciardo, in the AlphaTauri, who is shoved into Pierre Gasly, who then cannonballs into his Alpine teammate Esteban Ocon. Lap 2, Pierre Gasly pulls into the pit lane and retires from the Grand Prix with his right rear tyre shredded and big damage on the rear of his car. Esteban Ocon pulls into the pit lane as well and retires with damage to both Alpines out of the race on the first lap.
The damage to Ocon's car was half the side was caved in.
He the one that got launched in the air, or was it?
Yeah, Ocon did. Apparently his seat cracked, and he had to go see the medical centre after.
Jesus.
His seat cracked in half.
That'll do it.
Yep.
That'll do it.
I can imagine them going and seeing Zhou Guanyu afterwards and wanting to crack his helmet open.
Oh, he had a shocker of a weekend, didn't he? After a great qualifying.
Yeah.
We'll get into that. But
Started fifth and then just dropped like a rock. But yeah.
It's disappointing.
Lap 8, Sergio Perez slips past Fernando Alonso for 7th. Zhou Guanyu is handed a 5-second time penalty for causing the shunt at the start of the race. Lap 10, Stroll, Tsunoda and Bottas pit, all three for hard compound tyres. Lap 16, Carlos Sainz pits for hard tyres. Lap 17, Lewis Hamilton pits for hard tyres. Lap 18, Lando Norris and Charles Leclerc pit. Lando getting the overcut done on the Hamilton. Charles Leclerc on a slow stop winds up battling Valtteri Bottas on the exit and losing 3 overall positions to where he should have been. Lap 19, Oscar Piastri scores a 2-second pit stop, bolting on a set of hard tyres, but Lando Norris just jumps him into turn 1 on the undercut after setting the fastest lap. Lap 20, Charles Leclerc gets past Lance Stroll into turn 2. Lap 24, Max Verstappen pits for a hard set of tyres, rejoining comfortably in the race lead. Lap 25, Sergio Perez pits after going long on his first stint, putting a set of medium compound tyres on. Lap 26, Lewis Hamilton queries Mercedes on how he's losing so much time down the straights. Mercedes say they are managing a temperature issue. Lap 27, Sergio Perez muscles past Carlos Sainz using the faster set of medium tyres. Lap 28, Sergio Perez sweeps past George Russell despite George posting an ambitious defence. Lap 43, Sergio Perez and Oscar Piastri pit for medium tyres. Sergio getting a 1.9 second pit stop to help him chase for the podium. Lap 45, Lando Norris pits for medium tyres, a clean stop, seeing him clear of Piastri and Sergio Perez. Lap 46, Charles Leclerc is being investigated for speeding in the pit lane. Lap 47, Sergio Perez gets past Oscar Piastri for fourth. Oscar is given a black and white flag for track limits. Charles Leclerc is handed a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Lap 50, Lewis Hamilton pits for mediums, dropping him to 5th. Lap 51, Max Verstappen pits for medium tyres. Lap 57, Lewis Hamilton passes Oscar Piastri for 4th. Lap 66, George Russell passes Carlos Sainz after complaining about his tyres. Lap 69, Logan Sargent has a spin at the chicane and then drives back to the pits to retire from the race. Lap 70, Max Verstappen wins the Hungarian Grand Prix, his 7th in succession and Red Bull Racing's record-breaking 12th consecutive victory. Lando Norris holds off Sergio Perez for second. Perez in turn holding off Lewis Hamilton for the final podium position. Max Verstappen gets fastest lap. Sergio Perez gets driver of the day.
Lewis Hamilton for Mercedes finishes 4th. Oscar Piastri finishes 5th for McLaren. George Russell finishes 6th for the other Mercedes. Charles Leclerc finishes 7th in the Ferrari. God, I had a double take there. Like, was he really that high? Carlos Sainz in the other Ferrari was 8th. Fernando Alonso was 9th in the Aston Martin. And Lance Stroll rounds out the top 10 in the other Aston Martin. So, wow. The Alpines had a bit of a shocker.
Yeah, as you did say before, though, it wasn't actually their fault. It was
No,
they were
it's
really,
not.
really unlucky, but it does suck when you have 2 weekends in a row with double DNFs. And on the first lap, like, you put all that effort into getting here, getting ready for the race, and you're out by the first corner.
And
Oh.
the worst thing about it is there's been 3 double DNFs of the Alpines, and I think 2 attempts at it, they've accidentally taken each other out.
Yeah, they've always been involved with each other, I'm pretty sure, haven't
Because
they?
that was Australia.
Yep.
I don't remember what happened at Silverstone. And then
I think both their cars just conked out.
and
at
then
Silverstone.
today they
Gasly got taken out by Stroll at Silverstone.
yep,
Yeah.
that's right.
Ocon's clunked out.
God.
But yeah, look, at sometimes this race felt a little bit procedural. But I think that's the nature of the track too.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think Martin Brundle said grid position here is almost as important as Monaco
Yeah.
because it's very single file.
Yeah.
There's a lot of parts on the track where you can't.
But
You
particularly
can't make overtakes. Yeah.
yeah,
particularly, I mean, like the first corner, that's overtaking paradise. The first corner.
yeah,
The second corner, again, it's another overtaking crack at it. The third one, not many overtakes happen on the third corner because that's where you're sealing the deal, really, of
Pretty much,
what
yeah.
you've done.
Yeah.
The fourth corner, which is the slightly uphill blind left.
the fast king.
Yeah, like,
yeah.
I remember when we played the video game a couple of years ago, it was you, me, and Barry R. Enchilada.
Yes.
And we were doing that track, and I was doing overtakes going into that corner.
Yeah, well, that was where Oscar Piastri got shoved off by Sergio Perez
Yeah,
because there's grass on the outside of that corner further on,
yeah.
and Oscar actually got a track limits violation for it, which is bullshit. But
No, yeah, it's that's
Yeah, it's crap if you get pushed off. It shouldn't count
Yeah.
at all. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But
Yeah,
the
there's not many places on that track. I mean, There are some like sharp corners, but yeah, it's a hard track to overtake on. It's very much like a go-kart track.
But from, say, turn 3 all the way to, I don't know, the second last corner, it really does become single file. I mean, you've got that really tight chicane. I think that's...
the one where Sargent went off?
Yes, turn 6 and 7.
Yeah.
Like that chicane is too tight.
Yeah.
Like, it really is such a buzzkill, that one, because you got to take so much curb to get through it.
Yeah.
I think that one needs to be widened a little bit, just to promote a little bit more speed and a little bit more action. Because at the moment, you've got to break down to nothing and then bounce off it like you're in a Dodgem car.
Yeah, I guess you could say it adds that chicane adds an element of concentration, because as we've seen, Sargent slipped out on that chicane by not paying attention. He went on the throttle too quickly. So I guess you could say it adds that to the driver, but I guess what you're saying in terms of overtaking, it completely eliminates any of that.
Yeah, no, it does. I mean, and even driving it in the game, like that is the hardest corner in the game on the track. You know, getting that right, especially on a qualifying lap. But I guess that's sort of what the purpose of it is.
Yeah, that's right.
To keep the concentration there. But yeah, look, I guess my interest was well and truly held seeing Lando Norris getting P2 again and Oscar Piastri getting 5th. It was almost P2 and P3, but...
God, I would have loved to have seen him get a podium. I'm feeling for Oscar, because he's put into some stonking laps.
He was there, but Hamilton and Sergio were just coming.
Yeah.
Like, Sergio was chasing down Lewis, and then he got him. I think Lewis got Oscar first, and then Sergio got him, but... You know what? For a car that was supposed to be struggling in low-speed corners, we're back on the podiums 2 races in a row, and the next race is Spa, where it's a whole lot of high-speed, medium-speed corners. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we're gunning for 3 podiums in a row.
Well,
next time out, because
if you look at the weekend, if you take Red Bull and put them aside, I mean, you've got a resurgent McLaren, you've got a somewhat resurgent Mercedes.
Yeah.
Yep.
But the big story, besides the Alpines crashing out and those teams being resurgent, is Ferrari is just slipping on a banana peel.
So is Aston Martin.
Yeah,
both those teams are just sort of making up the points at the moment. They're nowhere near fighting for a podium. When at the start of the year,
the question you could ask about Aston Martin, you probably ask the same thing about Ferrari. Is it that their car is getting worse, or is everyone else's car getting better?
I think Aston Martin used all their upgrades. I think they just because McLaren now are the new Aston Martin, like they've probably got them and Mercedes are probably the equal second fastest cars on the grid now.
And they're both the most recently upgraded car, I believe, isn't it? Mercedes and McLaren.
Yeah.
So
it could be that Aston Martin has just played their hand way too early.
I think so. I think they put everything into the start and it worked, and then now it's everyone's
it looks
catching
great,
up.
but everyone's caught them now.
Yeah.
Whereas
wondering what Ferrari do Ferrari have any upgrades in the pipeline?
Well, apparently they've put a couple of upgrades on the car.
Well, it hasn't really done much.
Yeah, well,
must be minor ones.
I think they're playing the long game of we'll just survive this season.
They're gunning for next year for sure.
Yeah.
With the cost cap and stuff, I think a lot of teams are going to start deciding that. They're just going to go, well, what's the point in this year if we're too far off it?
Yeah.
We might as well put it all in for next year and hope we can...
Yeah, well, I think that's the one thing that hurts the racing with the cost cap. Is...
I think we're going to start seeing that. When this cost cap come in, I was all for it, because obviously I go for a team down the lower. I go for Williams.
Speaking of bad weekends.
Yeah. So... Obviously, the cost cap feels like, it's going to help the lower teams. But I'm starting to see that I feel like it might hurt even the lower teams more. Because we've all got to spend the same, right?
Yeah.
So it's all theoretically the same in terms of, it's not like, say the lower teams get a higher amount to spend than the winning teams in the next year, if that makes sense, where you can spend a bit more to catch up. You all only get the same. And if you can only bring it in such a budget, in such a way where you can't even bring any upgrades in, how's that helping anyone? Because then you're not getting a chance to even throw anything in. That's what it feels like. It feels like most teams can't even like, what are we getting, one upgrade package per year from the teams at the moment?
Yeah, well,
I mean, I
think
feel like most teams
McLaren
have done.
had 2.
McLaren had 2.
Oh, and it should be noted, Oscar Piastri actually broke the floor in the Grand Prix, which is why he started struggling for pace in his final stint.
Is that what happened?
Yeah, so had the floor held together, we might have been on for a P2, P3.
okay. Well, I'm going to move on because we're going to come back to the cost cap a little bit later. But I'm going to go with my key drivers here. My first key driver was Sergio Perez.
Yeah.
Like,
That's the weekend he needed.
he needed that. He got off to a shaky start, but
That's his problem, though. That's what's going to be his undoing. Yeah, he had a great weekend in the long run, but he needs to be putting his car in the top 3 in qualifying without crashing out. Like, he needs to be qualifying
His first
high and
flying
not
lap
having to
in
race.
practice, we wrote the car off.
Like, he needs to be consistent. Like, Verstappen's consistent. Like, every week. Perez is what? Is this the first time he made Q3 in 6 races or something?
Yeah.
And he only qualified 9th. He's got the best car on the grid. Like,
Sergio Perez is a soccer team that goes down by 2 goals at the start of every game and has to catch up.
yeah. And every now and then he does. He catches
Yeah.
up and he wins 3-2.
Yeah.
And then every other now and he loses 4-3. You know, like it's.
Yeah.
Whereas, like I said, Max Verstappen starts 2-0 up because he's that consistent in the best car, and I just feel like that's what's going to be his undoing in the Red Bull team, if that makes sense, because they've got the best car, so now they want the best drivers in it. And although you're making up for it by coming up to 3rd, do they really want you starting from 9th and having to do that? Because so much can go wrong.
Yeah, like how much stress are you putting on your tyres, on the car, on your engine?
Yeah.
Coming through the field like that.
The flip side of the coin, though, is if he starts, if they start a race with Max on pole position and Perez in 2nd, then you run into the issue of Sergio having a shot at beating Max.
They know that's never going to happen, though.
Max Verstappen has not blown a start all year.
Yeah.
Like, Max got Lewis into turn 1 here.
I think the only time he blew it was Norris got him at Silverstone.
Norris got him at
5 laps,
Silverstone,
but
yeah.
I don't think Verstappen did much wrong in that start. I think it just favoured the
I
second
think
driver.
Norris was on the racing line side of the track.
Yeah, it just favoured.
And it was a save for Lewis here, actually.
Yeah.
Because Max was starting on the
Inside.
the racing line of the track. But I mean, Max doesn't blow starts often,
No.
and even when he does, give it till the DRS.
Yeah, that's
Give
it.
it
2 laps.
Give it 2 laps.
My next key driver was Lando Norris.
Yeah,
I think he drove an impeccable race, and now that he's got a car that works properly, he seems to be
him and
relishing it.
Oscar.
Oh, I'll get to him in a sec.
Like, McLaren just need such a big rap for the B-spec car they've produced. Is just from what it was. Bahrain was DNF in 17th.
Yeah.
And now Silverstone, we were 2nd and 4th. Hungary, we're 2nd and 5th.
Yeah.
And I'm already salivating over Spa because I think the car's going to be awesome in Spa too.
My next key driver was Lewis Hamilton. I have to give him credit. Like he
put it on pole.
He put it on pole, and he was in there.
Other than his start, he had a great weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, he would have gotten eaten up anyway, but
His start was bad, but he did recover.
yeah.
Like, he did chase down Oscar when he needed to. And Sergio chased him down, which I guess would be a little bit deflating, but...
Like you said, there was a reason for it with the floor.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, he is actually my next driver, which is Oscar Piastri. Like, if it wasn't for his cracked floor, I think he might have held off Hamilton. I don't know if he would have held off Perez, but he would have held off Hamilton.
P4, yeah.
You know? And at the start of the race, he was the one challenging Max Verstappen.
Yeah, well, he led Norris he got undercut by Norris.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, what did you think of that? Like, I was kind of like, I thought you would put the lead driver on the first strategy. Like,
To be fair, Lando set the fastest lap of the race to get ahead of him. It's not like
the
they were-
outlap. Yeah.
Yeah, like Lando earned it.
Oh, yeah,
Lando
he
had
definitely
to
did.
drive
I
for
just
it.
would have thought they would have pitted Piastri first, so there wasn't an
Yeah.
undercut.
Well, they were trying
Available, if
to,
that
they
makes
were
sense.
trying to stay ahead of Hamilton, and it worked.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously,
I do.
maybe it was for the better because Piastri wound up cracking his floor, and
True, in the end, yeah.
it would have been Lando trying to chase down Lewis.
But if there's one thing about McLaren that I'm really keen about, other than the progress of the car, is that the driver pairing of Piastri and Norris seems to be working really well.
Yeah, well, Piastri's a gun. Like, we've known it for a long time.
Because with Daniel Ricciardo, there was always that, like, there was the jokiness and everything, but there was always this undercurrent of there was something under the surface that wasn't quite right.
He was under a lot of pressure.
I think it was Ricciardo under a lot of pressure because he was paid as the number one driver, and
He
they
wasn't
had a
driving
lot
like
of
it.
problems, and they were kind of trying to put a lot of it on him. And I think, in the end of the day, I just don't think they gave him a car he wanted to drive, and at the end of the day, also they didn't give him a very good car, so it didn't work out. And I believe it's more McLaren's fault than Daniel's, but I think that was the issue there, where Lando was like, Lando's cocky. Like, I get it, he's great, but Lando can be a cocky prick at times where you kind of like, you can dislike him sometimes. I like Lando Norris, but I get why you could dislike him.
Yeah.
And I think Lando had that bit of about him. We were like, well, I'm doing better than Daniel, so whereas in here, I don't think Piastri's keeping up with him, but I think there's definitely that Lando's now the number one driver shift.
Yeah,
it's firmly set.
There's a clear 1 and 2.
Yeah, and I don't think Piastri's at that point of, he's happy at the moment to just like, he's so cool, Piastri. Like, he's so cool. Even when he got overtaken, he was just like, when he got pushed off the track by Perez, he was even just like, yeah, he didn't give me much space. Like, imagine if that was Hamilton.
Oh yeah,
the whinging, that, you know what I mean? Like, imagine if it was
Max.
18 of the other 20 drivers. Yeah, there would be whinge, you know?
Yeah, I want something done about it.
Yeah, something needs to be done about it. I want the position back. Well, Piastri just took it on the chin and kept going. That's what he seems like. He's the kind of guy who just takes the punches and keeps rolling against it.
Even when Lando got the undercut on him.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
He would have got mad about it, but he just got on the radio and he's like, so what do I do?
Yeah.
And then his engineer was just like, manage the hard tyres until whenever, and then we'll put you on mediums till the end.
And that's the thing. I think Oscar's got a great mentality at the moment of just, I'm just going to learn keep learning, keep growing. My time's going to come.
Yeah.
I think he really believes that in himself, and it will, because he's that talented.
I think that also comes from his manager, Mark Webber.
He's being steered in the right direction, for sure.
Yeah. Because Mark Webber had that same thing. The only time Mark Webber lost his cool was when Red Bull were really favouring Vettel.
Yeah, it was quite obvious. Yeah.
The rest of the time, he was cool, calm, and collected.
Yeah, did the best thing for the team, etc.
Yeah.
And I think Oscar's the same.
So
I just hope that when the time comes and there's a multi-21 incident, Oscar takes it for himself. That's all I hope.
Yeah. My next key driver was George Russell. He made 12 places up.
Yeah. What is he? Was he 18th?
He was 18th when he started and 6th at the end of the day.
Yeah.
On a track that you can't overtake on.
Yeah.
Go figure. That's awesome. And I think I was overshadowed by
100%.
what Sergio Perez did.
Yeah.
It was like, Sergio did this great drive. And I was like, George Russell started 18th.
Yeah.
And finished 6th on a track that's basically like Monaco without the walls.
Yeah.
Well, where did Carlos Sainz qualify?
I can't quite remember.
He was 8th, I think, or 7th.
It's in the group chat.
But
I feel like it's somewhere around where they were.
Yeah, because I thought there was a few cars between Sainz and Leclerc.
Sainz started
Zhou
11th.
got 5th.
Where did Sainz?
Sainz started 11th. Sergio started 9th. Yeah, Russell started 18th.
And by the end,
George Russell was rod for driver of the day, to be honest.
Yeah.
And Carlos Sainz, he started 11th, and by turn 4, he was right behind Charles Leclerc. And even I was like, is that Zhou Guanyu or is that Carlos Sainz? And they're like, yeah, it's Carlos Sainz. Blew my mind. In 4 corners.
Yeah. A few drivers had some good starts like that. Yuki Tsunoda, I think, went up 6 places after turn 1.
Yeah.
That was all because of that incident, mainly. But
And also, I'll get to my final driver of the day. It was Daniel Ricciardo.
yeah,
If he hadn't been punted, he would have had a really solid day at the office.
Yep.
And I think
he still did have a solid day, despite what happened.
And sure, he finished 13th, but in the AlphaTauri, he seems to have found the life in that car.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
He even got it in a Q2, which was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm interested to see him in a couple races' time where he's got a bit more understanding of the car.
Yeah.
But to do this first go gets me like, excellent. That's what I wanted to see. I didn't want to see you struggle. I wanted to see you do exactly what you did. And now I'm hoping in a few races' time, you're going to sneak in there and get a point, or you're going to do some kind of race that we're going to go, yes, this is the Daniel we want in the Red Bull.
Yep.
So it's a great start for his return.
And now I'm going to introduce a new thing, because we've got key drivers, all drivers that do pretty well. Now I introduce
Drum roll.
the Brain Dead Award. That goes to Zhou Guan Yu.
Wow. The worst driver of the day.
Ran out of talent award.
You know, he used all his talent up in the qualifying.
Oh,
He used all his talent up to qualify fifth.
He gets on the grid, he starts the race, just bottles the start. Absolutely just drops his guts like his engine was a fart. He just dropped it.
It did. It literally did that when it
And
started.
everyone's going around him, and then he's gone, oh, look, I found the
Power.
power. And
Where's
look,
the brake?
there's Daniel Ricciardo. Welcome back. Give me a hug. Crack. And Daniel Ricciardo's like, oh, I'm still smiling. I'm back and forth. Crack into Gasly.
Yeah.
And then Gasly gets punted into his teammate, and all they could sit there and say is, no, not again.
Oh, croissant!
Oh, no.
Croissant!
Otmar Zaff now is like getting sharp objects taken away from him.
Yeah.
So give me this.
It's so disappointing because to watch his quali, man, his quali was great. Like
Yep.
he was pole in Q1, I believe. He put himself in fifth by the end of quali. Like he was on in quali, and even I think Bottas was in the top 10.
Both the Alfa Romeos were on.
And I thought, oh, here we go. We're going to see a points finish out of these, And I was thinking, could Guan Yu push himself into the top 6 this race? And then he does that.
And then the lights go green.
Yeah.
And
And we're away. Oh, except Guan Yu Zhou.
Yeah, Zhou Guan Yu. He ain't going nowhere. Where are you going? Fucking nowhere. It was the same. You know what? Fast and Furious reference here. Zhou Guan Yu looked like the Tyrese of the series. And I mean, I'm not talking Too Fast, Too Furious Tyrese. I'm talking
Not the cool Tyrese.
Not the cool Tyrese.
No.
That was him in
shit.
quali. That was him
He
in
was
quali.
the cool Tyrese in quali. He was Barstow.
He was we hungry.
Barstow, Roman Pierce. And now he's comedic relief, Roman Pierce.
He's the butt end of a joke from The Rock. That's
Not
what he is.
And not a funny joke either, just like an average joke.
A really bad one.
And then he responds with like a really cringe one-liner, and then the scene ends. Zhou Guan Yu.
Yeah, it wasn't a great race for him.
No, it
Wasn't a great race. Like, what happened to Valtteri? Where did he finish? Because
I don't know either.
they were up there in quali. Like, were they both in?
Yep, both in the top 10.
They were both started in the top 10, and neither of them were anywhere near the top 10.
No. It was just the saddest display. And I bet Audi's sitting there going, fuck, we've bought this team.
Yeah.
Fuck, what have we done?
We need
Look,
two new drivers.
I will say this. I think that was Zhou Guan Yu's last gasp. I think he's done his dash now, and I think
Unfortunately, I kind of agree. I don't. He's not doing himself any favours to stay on the grid. That's for sure. He did at the start. Like I said, I was excited for him. I was like, yes, this is the race I need to see from you if you want to stay on the grid. And then he done that, and I was like, okay, maybe you're gone. Like,
yeah.
You're not saving your career doing that.
No, you've just
Not when
hammered
you've been in
another
here for 2
nail
years.
into your own coffin, mate. You just
Sargent
He's
did the
done.
same thing. I mean, he was already
Sogan
under pressure.
Largent.
Yeah, Sogan Largent went and span himself out at that chicane, and I was just like, hey, this is what you get when you put a guy and he's not ready,
that's what happens when you favour money over talent.
Exactly. You put these guys in for other reasons outside of talent, and you get poopy sometimes.
And I hate to say it, but I think Yuki Tsunoda is in a very similar boat. He's
I don't know.
well. Here's the rumor mill about Yuki Tsunoda is Yuki Tsunoda is a Honda driver, right? Aston Martin are going to be running Honda power units in 2026.
Is he meant to be part of the deal, you reckon?
Yeah.
Or is it Ayumu Iwasa?
No. The rumor is it's going to be Yuki Tsunoda.
So they're going to kick out Lance Stroll, or they're going to... Fernando Alonso is going to be out by then.
Oh, Fernando Alonso will probably be retired by then.
He'll probably be at another team by then.
You know what that'll
He'll
mean?
be at Mercedes with Hamilton.
It'll be Yuki Tsunoda and Lance Stroll
Oh, God.
at Aston Martin.
How good would that be?
Oh, my God.
Oh,
Yuki has not been bad this year. This year he's been good. He's
got a
2
bad
points.
car.
Yeah, he's got a horrible car.
But Daniel Ricciardo outdrove him in his first race.
Yeah, they only beat him by a couple spots, but...
Well,
In a car that he's not used to. He hasn't driven.
all right. So we're going to move on to the news now. The first news item, and it literally happened the day after we fucking recorded the last episode. Daniel Ricciardo replaces Nick DeVries at AlphaTauri.
Well, we should know that because we've just talked about him for the last 10 minutes.
No, but I
We haven't officially announced it.
Yeah, but just
But in
so you
case-
know. Yeah.
In case you're wondering, we're just back on the Daniel Ricciardo hype train.
Yeah.
We're not.
There's something, though.
We're not.
I have to say this. I feel bad for Nick DeVries because Nick DeVries has become the Dave Mustaine of the Red Bull Metallica
Did
system.
you see AlphaTauri did not even give a thank you post for him?
No.
Nothing.
You all me.
He's gone. There's like, no thank you for everything.
It was just
Nick.
like, Daniel's back.
It's like, Daniel's back.
Hey, everyone, the cool guy's back.
Yeah.
Thank God we don't have that loser, Nick DeVries, anymore.
They just open up the back door. They're like, just slip out the back door,
quick,
mate.
there you go. Just get out.
Go,
Just
mate.
get-
Just
yeah.
go. You know, out the door,
They
mate.
literally did
Back
do
to
that
Formula E for you, sir.
Is that where he's going, or is he not?
I would
not
assume
anywhere
so.
yet? Yeah.
I think Nick DeVries deserves a crack at redemption, and I think his crack at redemption is if they get rid of Sogan Largent from Williams and he goes back to Williams. That would be a nice little crack at it because he seemed to be more adjusted. I mean, it was only one race in the Williams, but he seemed more adjusted in the Williams than he did
I think
in the
this is why
AlphaTauri.
it shows sometimes it's very important sometimes the seat you do pick at times because that AlphaTauri gig came out of nowhere, as in he did the Williams gig and we're all like, yep, he's going to be in the Williams. And then Red Bull kind of pounced and were like, no, we're signing him to AlphaTauri. And we're like, why would you do that? You got Liam Law, you got all these other options, aren't you going to give them a crack?
Yeah.
You went and signed him and it just has not worked. And it's like, even Red Bull have come out and said they kind of jumped the gun
Yeah, well,
grabbing him. And it's like,
Helmut Marko was really keen on him, but Christian Horner's like, nah, I don't see anything in him.
yeah.
And they've been describing Nick DeVries as, he was just a stopgap driver. So that's
Why
what
did they jump out and grab him then?
That's what I mean. Like he, when little bit of music history here. Dave Mustaine when he was in Metallica, and then he got fired, and they brought in Kirk Hammett, and they sat there and said about Mustaine, he was just a temporary guy. He was, we were waiting for someone better to come along. And then Mustaine hears that and gets pissed off and forms Megadeth to get back at them.
Mm.
Nick DeVries is the Dave Mustaine of the AlphaTauri system.
Who's he going to get back in though? You reckon Williams?
Oh, look, I think Nick DeVries is going to get an IndyCar.
Yeah, I can see him.
I
ending
think
up there.
I think
Yep.
he's done with Formula E.
I'll be honest. I honestly think he's done with Formula One. The guy's he done everything he could to get himself a seat, and he didn't get it for years. And then when he finally did, it didn't go very well.
But he ended up in a car that was a bit of a tank,
I know that. But
and in a
Formula
team
One's ruthless.
and a team that really didn't want him.
No, didn't feel like that at all.
And I think honestly, if Williams had slid a contract in front of him, he should have signed that one.
Well,
But-
apparently they did.
But
So he should have, but he jumped in that because he was like, "Oh, if I prove myself, maybe I'll get in the Red Bull." But I'm like, it's not really the. Sometimes take the Williams seat and do a George Russell, do an Alex Albon, like
Yeah, that's
prove
right.
yourself there, and then you'll launch yourself hopefully into a higher seat with more experience, more everything under your belt. Like, I don't know, I don't feel like if you want to get in the Red Bull, the AlphaTauri is a great way of doing it. To be honest,
no,
I feel like you're better off just proving yourself somewhere else because they're going to grab you no matter what if you're great. I mean, look what they just did. They grabbed Nick DeVries because he was great in one race. Like, they're not going to just push you up because you're in their system in a sense. They're ruthless. They're going to cut you and take the next best thing.
yeah.
So, yeah, I just think he made a poor decision choosing there. He should have just jumped in the Williams.
I can understand the motivation for it.
I can too, but like I said,
It's everybody's pipe dream, isn't it?
Yeah, that's
I
right.
think you've
I'm
got to
going
be
to get in
smarter
the
about
seat
these
next
things.
to Max Verstappen, and it never happens.
Yeah. Never does. That's what I mean. I think
Then as soon
sometimes-
as you get the seat next to Max Verstappen, you're not good enough because you're not Max Verstappen.
That's it. Sometimes I feel like
Look
you've
at
got to take
Sergio
a seat.
Perez. Look how fucking understressed he is.
I feel like you've got to take a seat in a less pressurized manufacturer, aka a Williams, where they're like they can give you the year, unless you're horribly bad, like Sogan Largent. you'll
or
last.
go Tiffy.
Yeah, or go Tiffy. Go Tiffy lasted a couple of years, so you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah, but that's because they needed money.
yes,
That's
that's
because
true.
they needed a driver.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel for him, but at the same time, I'm like, it's F1 and Daniel's back, so I'm happy for that.
Well, Daniel Ricciardo, he did really well in his first weekend back in the AlphaTauri, and he didn't have a lot of testing in the car.
No, so
It's a
for his
very
first
unfamiliar
weekend,
car. He didn't have a hand in developing the car or anything. He just sort of jumped in and made it go.
and apparently when he did the testing for the Red Bull, this is what got him his seat in the AlphaTauri. He put in pace for P2
Yeah.
in what car was he testing? Was it their car he was testing?
Yeah, it was this year's...
right.
Because it was the Pirelli tyre test.
Right, that's what it was. Yes,
Yeah.
righto.
And it was this year's Red Bull.
Well, his times come in at P2, and he only just jumped in that car, and this was by a few laps in. He was putting in times for P2. So that's what made them go out and go, yes, we need to get him in the AlphaTauri, and that gets me excited that they're going to get him to the Red Bull. And that's why I was saying earlier about Sergio Perez, that if he's not going to start qualifying well, I can see them booting him out, because if they're seeing Daniel's putting in P2s, they're going to say, would we rather both our cars at the start of the grid? Like,
Well, I watched a video by The Race earlier today. And they were talking about Perez and whether or not he should be worried about Daniel Ricciardo. Fuck yeah, he should be worried about Daniel Ricciardo taking his seat.
100%.
And Sergio Perez, he got asked, are you worried about Daniel Ricciardo? And he's like, I've got a contract for next year and da-da-da-da-da. What you've got to understand, Perez, is the last time you sat there and said, I've got a contract for next year, Aston Martin signed Sebastian Vettel and terminated your contract a year early, and then you ended up at Red Bull. And it's Red Bull.
Off of one race, he ended up in Red Bull.
Yeah.
The Sakir race.
Yeah.
Which was a stonking
Saved-
race, by the way.
Saved his career.
Yeah, literally saved his career, because he would not have had a seat if he had not put that performance in.
Oh, that's right. But you've also got Alex Albon, Nick De Vries, Pierre Gasly, Sebastian Bourdais, Sebastian Buemi.
And that's also the thing, to go back to my point. He didn't come through the Red Bull system. He just put in a great performance somewhere else.
Yeah.
So when the seat comes up, they just look at the best option. They don't go, oh, you know what, we're going to reward old, so-and-so over here. He's been in the system for a few years. Like Yuki Tsunoda is not just going to go straight to Red Bull because he's been in AlphaTauri for 3 years.
Yeah.
They're going to go, well, Daniel's, but like, they're grabbing Daniel out of the ashes to come back,
But my point being is, even in the Red Bull system, a contract doesn't matter.
In Formula One, a contract doesn't mean
If you're not putting in the performance, Red Bull will sit there and say, we're not happy, bon voyage.
Yeah.
So Perez sitting there saying, I've got a contract for next year. It's only as good as the paper it's printed on, mate.
And as soon as you get that complacency in that fucking system, that's what Helmut Marko's looking for. It's like, excellent, you're fucked.
Yeah.
You're gone. You're complacent.
So
And
no,
he
you're
has.
complacent.
I will go as far as saying he can sit there and say, I've got a contract for the end of next year, till the end of next year. He's not getting another one at Red Bull.
100%.
I think they've made up their mind that Ricciardo's coming back anyway.
Yeah, well, Max has said he loved Daniel in the team. He never wanted him to go. They've all said that. Like, Christian Horner's said that. Like, they want him back, and if they're seeing him put P2 performances in testing and Sergio's crashing in the wall in P1 and can barely make qualify, like, let's be honest, Sergio's never winning a world championship. He's had the world championship car for 2 years in a row, and he's only coming in second because that car's so much further ahead than everyone else.
And really, the only reason why he is still in the Red Bull is because of Abu Dhabi 2021.
Yeah,
Because he defended and helped Max win the title.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a good team player. That's the only thing that's keeping him alive.
Yeah, it has until, again, because it's Red Bull and it's about performance, until your performance dwindles. At the moment, he can't be a team player because he's never up there to help Max. Granted, he hasn't needed it because Max has gone
Skated
in the wind
off into the distance.
So they haven't needed that, but there was a time where they did.
Yeah.
For example, at like 2021 when Mercedes were closer, it was handy to have the two drivers up there. And there was a lot of criticism was he wasn't up there a lot of the time. So Max is fighting both the Mercedes on his own. And I just think they want a driver that's going to push Max. Not that he needs it, but I just think they want a driver that's going to be up there more consistently than Perez is. Because, again, they've got the best car on the grid.
They want a winner and a blocker.
Yeah.
That's what they want. And right now, Perez is not blocking.
They know Daniel will will win them a race if Max isn't there for whatever reason. In fact, I even think they believe that Daniel could probably push Max and I think Daniel could too. If he comes back at his best in that Red Bull, to me, Daniel was one of the few drivers that can push Max in the same machinery. He did it when he was there.
Yeah.
And I believe he can still do it now, despite Max being as great as he is. The McLaren run for Daniel was just it's a blip to me. It didn't work out for both. It just wasn't the car he was suited to. As soon as he's jumped back in this Red Bull, which is suited to him, bam, he's putting in P2 performances, and they've gone, we need you in our, they're pushing him through. We're all saying it. We can all see it. They want him back in that Red Bull seat. So I think you're right. I think Sergio has a lot to be worried about.
Yeah, and he should be.
100%.
He should be. Should be
100%.
looking over his shoulder and driving like, oh my God, if I fuck this up, I'm out of a seat.
The problem is he is, and he's fucking things up.
Well, yeah.
That's
the problem. The problem is that's exactly why he crashed in FP1.
And the thing was,
distracted.
the last time he was complacent, he was at Force India, and he sat there and said, well, I've got a contract for next year.
I've been in Formula 1 10 years, I'm going to be fine. And he's had a great career, but again, you're now in Red Bull. You can't be complacent just because you got the fastest car and take second. It worked for a little while, but
if he was driving anything else, he'd be fucked.
What did Valtteri Bottas ever do wrong? Nothing. But he was never that step further than he needed to be.
Yeah.
So he moved out for the guy who comes in and could be, which is George Russell.
Yep.
That's what Sergio Perez is going to be in Red Bull.
That's how top teams work.
Yeah.
If you're not what they want you to be, they'll put you in for.
Even if you're not technically really doing that much wrong, at the end of the day, Sergio's still second in the points.
How many times have we say Valtteri Bottas doesn't have the killer instinct, but George Russell does?
Yeah. Sergio's the same.
Sergio Perez does not have the killer instinct. Daniel Ricciardo does.
Not consistently, he doesn't. You had that one race in Sakir, which it was like...
He's had a few good races.
Yeah, he's had some good races. He's a good driver, but
he's
just
good races
not...
in the Red Bull. He won Monaco, he won Jeddah,
Yep.
he won Singapore.
He's one of those drivers that should be on the grid, but when you get to the top teams, you need to be the Max Verstappens, the Daniel Ricciardos, the George Russells.
Yeah, you shouldn't be bringing a car that fast out of 8th place on the grid.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He just seems to me like he's a Jarno Trulli. Jarno Trulli when Fernando Alonso won the world title. It was the year before he won the world title in 2003. No, 04. Sorry, 04. When the Renaults were challenging the Ferraris. And Jarno Trulli would just fall asleep at the wheel in the last 5 laps.
Yep.
And Schumacher would overtake him and scoot off and get the win. And Flavio Brigatore is just sitting there, just fucking drive a full race.
Yeah.
Just win the race.
And that's Perez. His entire weekend, he falls asleep at some point over the weekend.
Yes, that's right.
But then you get Daniel Ricciardo coming back into AlphaTauri. And I think he's the shot in the arm that AlphaTauri needs.
Yep.
And I think he will get...
He's there to get F1 seat experience.
Yeah,
until Sergio Perez's contract expires.
And he's there to get AlphaTauri off the bottom of the table. Because they are on the bottom.
They are.
By a long way. I think he's also, I think he's there to push Yuki Tsunoda. That's another thing. I think he's there to test Yuki Tsunoda.
Yeah, I think he's there to see if Yuki Tsunoda's got something.
Yeah, if Yuki Tsunoda can hold up to him...
Yuki Tsunoda is no longer the number one driver at AlphaTauri.
Yeah, that's right. I think they're looking at it like 2 ways. If Yuki Tsunoda can hold up to Daniel, he gets another year next year. If he can't, well, then they're looking probably for 2 drivers. Or Daniel takes over for 1 more year till Perez's contract sees out.
Yeah.
I would assume Daniel drives next year for AlphaTauri.
Knowing that he's coming in
Red
25.
Bull just let Sergio's contract expire.
Yeah.
And if Tsunoda's not the guy...
It'll be Liam Lawson.
It'll be Lawson or...
Yeah, Daniel and Lawson. Yeah,
or Yumi Iwasa, one of the two.
Yeah, reckon Yumi Iwasa. Yeah,
either. Whoever they want, I guess.
It'd have to be Lawson.
It's not going to matter. The game plan isn't for fucking Yuki. It's for Daniel.
Yes, 100%.
I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit what Yuki does.
Yeah, this is just a test for him in a sense.
Yuki's just like, you're there. If you're good enough to hang with Daniel, we'll keep you. But we know what we're doing with Daniel. We know why Daniel's there.
Yuki Tsunoda is AlphaTauri's equivalent of Lance Stroll. He's there
but
because
Yuki
someone
Tsunoda's
wants him.
Sackable.
Yeah.
Unlike Lance, he's not fucking sackable.
True.
Yeah. Yuki Tsunoda doesn't crash into people as much as Lance Stroll, though.
True.
Yeah, there's no fucking way that Yuki Tsunoda's there because of his Honda partnership. That's dog shit. They can't afford engines anyway.
Yeah.
Which probably blows that rumour out of the water. Yuki's there because Honda wanted him there.
Yeah, but
And then
Honda,
Red Bull's just like, we got Ford power units.
Honda is still servicing and manufacturing parts and manufacturing the engines for Red Bull.
Yeah, that's not because of Yuki Tsunoda's presence at all.
Yuki Tsunoda's still there because there's no one else that's been better than him at the moment coming through their ranks. There's just
No.
not a driver.
No.
The
They,
closest is Liam
they will
Lawson.
run out of patience with him, though.
Yeah.
Oh, of course
Like
they
they do
will.
with everyone.
Of course they will. But
Like they're going to do with Sergio.
if there was a guy coming through with stonk, like just absolutely smashing it, they probably would move him on. But there just really isn't. Like,
Yeah.
Hey, here's a good question, just as a trivia question. Who was the first driver signed to the Ferrari Driver Academy?
The first driver.
Yes.
How long's the Ferrari Academy been going for?
Not as long as you think.
I was going to say, I feel like it'd be in the last 15 years.
Gio Bianchi.
It was Jules Bianchi.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought it was around that time. Yep.
Yeah. Jules Bianchi was the first, and I think the second was Charles Leclerc.
Yeah.
And,
well, fuck, they would have been good teammates together. We said that.
yeah, well,
That was the plan.
That was the
They
plan.
were-
that was the plan.
Jules
yeah.
Bianchi was going to be Charles Leclerc, and then Charles Leclerc was going to come in.
Yeah.
Jules Bianchi would have been Charles Leclerc before Charles Leclerc, and then Charles Leclerc would come in.
Yeah. Yep.
They were best mates. Like, they would have been really good together.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing against Carlos Sainz, obviously. But Jules had talent. So did Antoine Hubert. He had talent too.
Yeah.
He would have come in and been Alpine's lead driver.
Well-
Human Ocon.
Here's something I don't know if you know this, but there was rumours back in the 90s that Ferrari had made an offer to a driver to come and drive for Ferrari.
Yeah, I think I know what that driver was too. Is it Ayrton?
It was Ayrton.
Yes. I heard that rumour.
Yeah.
Was that obviously when he was at Williams?
That was when he signed with Williams.
Yeah.
Yeah. How strange would have that been?
Imagine Ayrton coming through and then Schumacher coming through in the end.
Yeah.
You would have had both the gods in
Yeah.
one team. Talk about a super team.
Yeah.
Ayrton Senna and Michael Schumacher at the same team.
Yeah.
Ayrton would have been on the tail end of his career. but
That's not fair. You can't have King
that's
Kong
a cheat code.
you can't have King Kong and Godzilla on the same team.
Absolutely could have.
Yes, you can.
Absolutely could have. Holy shit.
It's the brothers
I've
of destruction.
seen the movie. Yes, you can.
It's actually a wrestling reference. There was a match on SmackDown, I think it was. There was a Japanese tag team called Kai and Tai versus a tag team called the Brothers of Destruction, which was Kane and The Undertaker. And they just sat there and belted the shit out of Kai and Tai. And JBL, who's a wrestler, but he was doing commentary, he's on there sitting there saying, "This is unfair. You can't have King Kong and Godzilla on the same damn team." Like, they're sitting there practicing the other teammates' finishes on these guys, just drilling the shit out of them.
Could you imagine Senna and Schumacher just driving like the 2002 Ferrari? Like, you think the RB19's dominant?
Oh, wow.
Man, it would have been like not even close.
You know who would have been a really...
Although, it's sort of the downside of Ayrton dying. I really would have wondered how he would have adapted to the evolution of Formula One. Because you're not driving around Monaco one-handed anymore, like manually shifting gears.
No.
I don't know if he'd particularly enjoy paddle shift and groove tyres.
I think that if he saw modern F1, he would have sat there and gone, no, it's not pure racing.
He'd rather drive rally cars or some shit.
Yeah.
I reckon he'd rather drive any cars.
Yeah.
I reckon he'd be...
Or
also-
Le Mans.
Or, yeah, even WEC, but...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything. He would have driven in F3 because it would have been more interesting for him.
He was definitely... He wants it stepping out. He wants it to be pure racing. I don't think he would enjoy
But I mean,
driving, at least. He'd probably enjoy watching
well,
it.
what about this for a dream team? Because this was the rumour that was going to be for 2007. It was going to be Kimi Räikkönen and Michael Schumacher.
That would have been a
at
hell of a
Ferrari.
team. Is that before Schumacher retired?
Yeah, like Schumacher retired at the end of 06
Yeah.
because they were going to sack Felipe Massa. And Schumacher was like, Felipe Massa still has a career
Yeah.
and I'm coming towards the end of mine, so I'm going to step aside, because they'd signed Kimi Räikkönen.
Yeah.
Kimi Räikkönen was coming in irregardless. So Schumacher fell on his sword so that Kimi Räikkönen could come in, so that Massa could keep his seat.
Yeah.
Good on
You
him.
know, for all the things of Schumacher's a cheat and Schumacher's this and that and whatever, he gave up his career so that a young kid could retain his seat.
He was a good person. He did
Yeah.
the right things.
Yeah.
You can criticise the way he went about Formula 1 at times, but he was just a competitive beast that wanted to win more than anyone.
Yeah.
But outside of that, he was like just a really good person. Like,
And if you look at some of the greatest rivalries in F1 history, Schumacher versus Häkkinen, Schumacher versus Damon Hill, you know, Schumacher versus Jacques Villeneuve, you know, they're legendary rivalries that are up there with Senna and Prost and Hunt and Lauda.
Yeah.
where would you rank Lewis and Max amongst all those rivalries? Where would you? Maybe we should talk about this in the mid-season.
Yeah,
part.
that's
There's something we'll add in. Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
talk about that later. But that's an interesting one.
yeah.
We'll
that's
come
great.
back to this conversation.
Yes. All right, I'll have to re-listen to this episode to remember that bit. Right, the next news item is that the Hungary F1 is locked in until 2032. Thank you for keeping a track on the calendar.
They've kept a few tracks on the calendar.
A track
Austria.
as opposed to a...
Austria got renewed.
Yeah.
Did Spa get renewed? Spa's there till 25. I think Singapore's there
Yeah.
till 26.
Yeah.
Bahrain's there. Yeah, there's some good tracks there.
Feels so much nicer to watch a track. Even when the race is a bit processional, you're like, yeah,
Still a
this is
track.
Formula 1.
Still
I'm
a
at a
track.
racetrack.
It's a racetrack.
Yeah,
Not fucking.
At a racetrack.
Not in
This
the middle of a
feels-
city driving down a street.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Actually,
There's such a better feeling about it.
I think I might do that. I might get on the Twitter a bit later and send a message to Stefano Domenicali. and say,
Do it through the F1
Yeah,
chat.
from the F1 chat. Yeah. Like,
Do it on the F1 chat page, and then we'll get some clout. Dear asshole.
Dear fuckface, can we have proper tracks, not more of these shitty road tracks?
They put a thing up.
P.S.
Lots of
listen-
love, the F1 chat. XOXO.
They put a thing up, and like the 3 most expensive 3-day passes in Formula 1 are all 3 US tracks.
Oh,
Yep.
fucking hell.
All the money grab.
Kota, Miami, and Las Vegas have the 3 most expensive 3-day passes in Formula 1.
And I bet you
Out of
Coda is
any
the
track.
cheapest out of the 3.
Yes, Kota was the cheapest. Vegas was the most expensive. And,
And
Miami was in the
It's
middle.
almost like they've gone from great track to crappy track. in
Pay
terms
more
of-
to come watch shit racing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the cheapest. I think
Because it's not about the race. It's
I
just
think
about the
Zandvoort
spectacle.
had like the cheapest like 3-day pass. It's like, yes, I'll pay $150 to go watch a real race at a real track.
100%.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you can spend like $3,000 on a 3-day pass to watch a shitty fucking. Might as well just be
To pay
IndyCar.
$1,000 for
So you
tomato
can,
and...
You might
So-
as well just go watch the NASCAR at Chicago. You'll get the same experience.
yeah, like you can
You don't even
spend-
know where the start finish line is. It's down there.
You can go to Las Vegas and possibly see someone who's on the grid, who shouldn't be on the grid, who won't talk to Martin Brundle.
Oh, you will.
that's
You
it.
will see lots of them.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to be.
See
Yeah.
arseholes with more money than you that think
As
they're
opposed to
fucking
last night,
entitled.
every celebrity that Martin approached knew who he was and spoke to him.
I didn't even see the grid walk.
I did.
Was it good?
Yeah, it was a NFL player, former NFL player was there,
Yeah.
and
In Hungary,
yeah,
of all places.
yeah, and they were also film producer Jerry Bruckheimer was there because they were still filming more stuff for the movie,
Yeah, right.
but none of the actors were there because the actors are on strike.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Next news item is
Formula 1.
there are 3 teams that are rumored to have broken the cost cap this year.
Bum, bum, bum.
Aston Martin,
Yep.
Mercedes, and Haas.
They did it.
Guilty.
Guilty. All 3 of them. Get them off the grid,
Wow.
reduct their points.
The amount of horse shit that Toto went on with when Red Bull broke
yeah,
it.
I know.
If it comes out that Mercedes has broken the cost cap, holy
Oh,
shit.
yeah, it's going to be gold.
Christian Horner's going to rip him a new one.
Christian Horner's going to sit there and go, look, it got you over the cost cap to change your fucking car.
Hey, look, you could have just blamed it on catering like we did.
Yeah. Sergio ordered all them sides, remember?
Remember that one dinner we had?
The one that cracks me up the most, though, is that Haas.
Yeah, how could they have?
Well, no.
They've gone backwards. Their car hasn't been good since the start of last year.
Gene's going to be pissed.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Gene's going to find out that he spent too much money in a salary cap.
He's just going to be
he's
like,
just going to be
fuck it.
like, what the fuck? What the fuck are you...
She doesn't want to spend money in the first place, let alone more of it.
Gee, he's going to turn into the villain from the Saint movie, where he's sitting there going, what are you doing with my money? You think it comes so easy? No! No!
What have they been spending it on, though? Because I don't think... Have they
Sure
had an
as fuck
upgrade?
isn't
Not the
the
fucking
car.
car.
Too much catering.
Fix it good this fuck door. You broke my fuck door. Gene, you broke my fuck door again.
Writing Gunther's book, because he's got a new book out
Oh my god.
called Survive to Drive.
Oh my god, I need to read it. I'm still following Gene's like parody account on Twitter. And it's like, hey look, I found a track that's like I found a track where track limits don't matter, and it's Photoshop Gunther going down a fucking water slide. And he's like, it's fucking hot, but I found a track where the fucking limits don't matter, and he's going down a water slide. I want parody Gene to write a book too. It's the best account going on Twitter. It's so good.
Is the fake Gunther Steiner one still up?
That was it.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I thought you said the fake Gene Haas
the
one.
great, the fake Gunther one. No, it's good. It's good.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I don't think fucking
Parody Gene. There's one we're going to have to come up with now.
it's Banter Steiner.
Just a photo of Gene Haas in a supermarket going, he spent too much money on that.
It's just memes of Gene being upset about money being spent.
I don't know if Gene Haas realises this, but sometimes you have to speculate to accumulate.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, apparently they've done too much speculating. What's the bet? They're
This
still
is
going to blame it
catering.
on Mick Schumacher from last year.
Yeah. It's Mick Schumacher's fault.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck off.
Banter Steiner. Brad Pitt, who's shooting a film here, was asking for me, so I went to him and gave him my autograph. He asked me what it's really like to be an F1 driver, so I started swearing at him in a realistic way. I have no fucking clue why, but the shoots have been postponed. Banter Steiner.
Yeah, so Aston Martin apparently has broken the salary cap.
I'm not entirely surprised by that.
No,
Yeah.
because, I mean, they're spending all their money on that wind tunnel that's going to be operational at the end of the year. And also building their new Silverstone facility.
Yeah.
You got Mercedes who, if they've broken the salary cap, it's because they really want to keep Lewis Hamilton happy.
Yeah, they're trying to push the things on that car. Yeah.
And Haas, I just don't know where they spent their money
No
Catering.
idea. Yeah.
catering.
Catering.
Because it's not... I mean, they haven't crashed the car.
No.
No, barely.
They haven't broken the car. All their parts are given to them from Ferrari, so they don't have to exactly develop a part. It's not they're developing upgrades for the car because...
I haven't seen them have an upgrade this year, have you?
Yeah, yeah.
Not that I can remember.
I mean, they downgraded their pit wall down to 3 people.
Yeah, they actually were I thought they were saving money. Was that why they had to downgrade? Because Gunter's like, oh shit, Gene's going to find out I spent more money.
Spent all his money.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
on
just-
his book. He spent it on his book.
No,
You're
he
right.
spent it on his fuck door.
Yeah.
You smashed my fuck door. You don't smash my fuck door.
You
Yeah.
fix my fuck
Yeah.
door.
I mean, we've got a
Are we going to hear
fucking
this every year? Every year, there's
Well-
just going to be rumours before
Well,
it comes out.
Here's the thing. Like we started talking about it earlier. And I said we'd come back to it. So now's the perfect time to come back to it. We were talking about how we think that maybe the salary cap is inhibiting the races.
Yeah.
And to a degree, I think it's right, because back in the old days, if Ferrari had a shit car, they'll just throw cash at it until it worked.
That's the Mercedes strategy.
Yeah, that was the Mercedes
Mercedes
strategy
did,
as
yeah.
well. Even the Red Bull strategy, just throw money at it until it works.
Yeah.
Okay? Preferably in front of a fan, then you can see where the aerodynamic deficiencies on the car are. Use the money.
Yeah, Williams.
We've got no money. That's why
No,
we
they
never
throw
do that.
they throw gold coins at
They're
it.
throwing coins. They're
Yeah.
not blocking
It's
park. I guess we're aerodynamically fine because
Throwing credit
Yeah, we just
card-
need a flat underboard because
They're throwing copies of Titanic on Blu-ray
these
at it.
these coins are cutting straight through the wind, just like a flat board.
Copies of Titanic and Pirates of the Caribbean getting thrown at it.
tell you what though,
Pirated Chinese copies.
we're not breaking the budget on. They're just like the B grade remakes, like Titanic 2.
The porn version.
One version. I think I downloaded the wrong one. Okay.
Pirates of her Caribbean.
Titanic.
Release the Kraken.
Titanic.
Oh,
Jesus.
Yeah, I think it is, and I think that I like the idea of a salary cap because I do want it to be fairer for the teams with not as much money, and I don't want teams like Mercedes to just throw billions at it because they can. But I almost feel like it also hinders the lower teams to ever make it up.
Yeah.
So it's like, what is the
If
perfect
they're
idea?
spending money, but they got to know what they're spending it on.
Yeah, I feel like what you might need to be doing is like have a salary cap for the position you fell in the year before.
The salary
that-
cap needs to be on a sliding scale the way that aero testing is.
Yes, exactly
Yeah.
right. So you finish
If
first,
you got a
you get
shit, if you got a shit fucking car, then you need to have more aero testing
yeah.
and more money to throw at it.
Yeah. And even if it's set to a limit that maybe the bottom team can't ever afford, at least the limit's there for them to make a catch up if they can, you know? Like,
Yeah.
whereas right now it feels like it's so tight for everyone, like you can't afford to play with much at all. And I still think the top teams have an advantage because despite, you know, not being able to just spend more money, they still have the best facilities everywhere and the best people and all that in the background to make
Adrian
things
Newey
work.
doesn't need 60 hours of CFD testing to make fucking rocket ship.
That's it. Yeah.
Imagine if he did.
Yeah.
Adrian Newey's got like 100 hours of CFD testing. It's just like, how fast do you want this thing to go?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think the problem is that I think McLaren is the exception to the rule. If you start off with the wrong concept and you don't have the money, you are fucked for the entire year. It's the longest 12 months of your life.
Exactly.
McLaren did start off with the wrong concept.
They did, but then they managed...
But they knew straight away. The thing was,
They
they
knew
knew they
before.
started wrong.
They knew
Yeah.
before this
Yeah,
year.
they're
that
like,
was
fuck. They're like, all right, we got to fix that.
I think they actually started coming up with the part that the...
Before the start of the year, I reckon.
Yeah, they were fixing the problem before the car launched
Yeah.
Yeah.
because they knew the car was there's like, oh, fuck.
But I think that...
Launch that one and then hopefully by fucking Silverstone will have something.
I think the
Lo and
problem...
behold.
I think the problem with the salary cap is shitty things like catering is counted in the salary
Yes.
cap. I don't think that should be counted in the
I
salary
think it
cap.
should just be on the car. Just on the
$145
car.
million
On the car.
on the car.
Yeah, everything else, spend what you got to. Like, it's a business to spend whatever you want on the rest.
I mean,
don't give a shit.
I can understand the salaries. I can understand that being in there.
Drivers' salaries.
Not
Driver
the,
salaries are excluded from the salary.
not,
Yeah.
not the driver salaries, but the
Because
rest
the
of the
drivers
staff.
on their own, like Lewis Hamilton's like $100 million.
Yeah, no. The driver salaries aren't in it.
Yeah.
But I mean, like the salaries of the staff that work on the cars.
Okay,
Yeah,
you're right.
the pit
Yep.
crew and
Pit crew and that. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
their salaries are in the salary cap.
Yes. Yep.
I'm on the fence about whether that should be in the salary cap.
No, I'm for it because why do you think so many people have left Red Bull?
Yeah, that's
Because they can't afford Red Bull can't afford to pay everyone.
Well, then
It's like a rugby league
Can't
team.
have
You
three
can't.
people to the one seat. When,
Yeah, it's like
yeah.
you can't pay. You know, if you've got a team of superstars, you can't all give them pay
Well,
rises.
here's something. I don't know if you guys.
Or else everyone would have stayed at Red Bull.
Did you guys watch the pre-race?
No,
Yeah,
I
no.
completely was. I tuned in as the intro was playing.
Because when I messaged you guys sitting there saying, "Oh my god, the specialists are Danica Patrick and Nico fucking Rosberg,"
She was looking great, by the way.
yeah, she's
She looks good in that dress.
Johnny's sitting there going, she'd look better without it.
True, correct.
But as soon as I sent that message, Nico Rosberg was talking about the Ferrari, and he said Ferrari needs to spend a bit of cash to buy guys away from Red Bull and Mercedes for their technical department so that they can actually get their car upgraded and moving in the right direction.
Well, that's what McLaren did.
And for once, I fucking agree with Nico Rosberg.
Yeah.
But
That's
do
what
they have?
Ferrari
But do
needs
they
to
have
do.
the cash?
They might not have the salary cap, because to be honest, I feel like Ferrari would be a team that's already spending quite high. They just haven't got the right personnel.
Well, I think
That's the thing. Like, you can spend all this fucking money, but if you don't have the people that know what they're... What's the point of giving Williams fucking 80 hours of CFD time if their aero glide
It's no good.
isn't as good? I mean, no one's as good as Adrian Newey. He's just not.
Adrian Newey should just design everyone's car. We're going to a spec series, and Adrian Newey designs the car that everyone drives.
Well, I'll tell
You
you.
all know you'd love it, because everyone would be great.
I would, but it takes the challenge out of it.
I know.
Well, I was actually reading about the team that developed the all-conquering Ferrari F2002. Yeah, the 2002 Ferrari.
Yeah, that thing.
That was just a fucking
rocket.
rocket.
Yeah, it was a rocket ship.
Right? Now, there was 6 key guys that developed that car. All right?
Was that John Barnard?
No.
Ah.
So Rory Byrne,
Yeah.
he was the head guy. All right? So it was Rory Byrne, Aldo Costa, who is the I think he's the current aero guy at Haas. But before that, he was at Ferrari. There was a few other guys, and then there was this other name that I saw, and I was just like, holy shit, he was there and worked on that car back then. James Allison.
Yeah, he's been around for fucking ages.
Yeah, but-
He's at Mercedes now.
Yeah, but just the aero team. Rory Byrne, Aldo Costa, James Allison. And then you've also got Ross Brawn and bloody Jean Todt. And Michael Schumacher, Michael.
Yeah.
Like, that's a dream team.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why they're all bought and gone to other places now.
Yeah.
'Cause you couldn't afford to keep all of them in one
That's
spot.
crazy.
Imagine the amount of money you're spending on that.
The only people missing from
In the
that...
era where you're taking 14 engines to a fucking race too.
Yeah.
14 V10s.
And, I mean, the only people missing from that dream team are Adrian Newey, Sam Michael, and Patrick Head.
Adrian Newey was at McLaren.
Yeah, and Sam Michael was at Williams. With,
Adrian Newey
Patrick
was the
Head.
one that designed the 98-99 McLaren.
Rory Byrne designed all the other fucking Ferraris.
Yeah.
And Rory Byrne came from Benetton.
Yeah.
Because Rory Byrne, Ross Brawn, and Jean Todt had all come from Benetton. And Michael Schumacher.
So
But-
should we see in the salary cap then? I agree, like things like catering need to go. Should just be the car and the salaries of
The car and the staff.
the people that work on it. That's
Yeah.
it.
Oh, you know what I'd like to see? A separate salary cap on the engine development for the engine suppliers.
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe that's one way you do it. Maybe
But
you
that-
have a
that
certain
counts as
salary
the
for the
car.
car and
That
a
counts
certain...
as the car.
Yeah, but then if you're a customer team, you don't have to pay that. Like you're not developing it. You're just buying the engines off them.
I'm pretty sure that's how it's working anyway.
Is it? Oh, okay.
McLaren's not paying fucking Mercedes to develop Mercedes engine. Mercedes is paying Mercedes to develop the Mercedes engine.
And
McLaren's just getting the power unit.
Mercedes
McLaren can't.
Mercedes is paying Mercedes to buy the power unit.
McLaren can't sit there and tell Mercedes to fucking work on the power unit.
No.
They're a customer. That's not McLaren's job.
No, I understand what you're saying. Like, Mercedes is paying money to develop it.
Because if they did,
and McLaren is paying money to buy the power unit off Mercedes.
yeah, Mercedes will set the price of the power unit.
Everyone is still paying for the power unit. So I
Yes.
do understand what you're saying, and I'll take back what I said then, because it actually makes a bit more sense now that you've said it. So, props to you.
Yeah.
You've made-
McLaren can't
you-
just
you-
turn around and say, "Oh, look, we want to, we'll give you money to develop the fucking engine." It's not their engine.
No.
It's the works team's engine. It's fucking Lewis has to fucking bitch about it
Well,
first.
technically, McLaren.
Lewis.
Technically,
Have a fucking
McLaren.
whinge.
Technically, McLaren is paying for the development of the engine.
Oh yeah, yes,
yeah,
they're developing.
Yeah,
Well, look,
that makes sense.
Yeah, on the side they kind of are, but at the end of the they're paying for a package that Mercedes are developing for themselves, and McLaren pay a fee to just have that as is.
yes.
Yeah.
Have it
that's how
as
it
it is, and the problem with that is that you don't
You got
know.
no control over
Yeah, you got
it,
no control
which
over
is
it,
why
yeah.
being a customer team makes so much sense.
There's
But
two
they
ways to
don't
look at
have-
it. You save money on development, but I mean you're already
Being a
still
works
paying
team,
for an
sorry,
engine.
not a customer team.
You're still paying for an engine. So are you saving money? Like if you were to just, I don't know what the costs
No,
are.
I mean,
but
You don't have any control over. Like it's
Yeah.
cheaper to be a customer,
yes,
but you got no control over the development
Yeah.
of the power
which
unit.
hurts your car performance, in my opinion,
Well, yeah,
in the long run, because you don't get a say. You don't get a say
you don't
in
get
what
a
to,
say.
how
The
to
only
develop
person
that, and then how to
the
develop
only
that
person that
tied
gets
in.
a say is Mercedes.
That's right.
McLaren and Williams don't get a say in Aston Martin for now. Don't get a say in.
I think the only team that has found the loophole on it was Red Bull, because they haven't paid for a Honda engine. They took over the contract from McLaren to have Honda engines,
Yeah,
right? Because McLaren wanted out of their deal with Honda.
because the Honda was dog shit.
Yeah.
Regret that now.
And now Honda is still making parts and the power units for Red Bull, but Red Bull's sitting there saying, "Oh, it's Red Bull powertrains." I don't think anything actually goes on in that fucking Red Bull powertrain factory.
It's that putting it together. Yeah.
Yeah,
They assemble
Putting it
it.
in the car. Yeah, they put it in the car. 100% it doesn't. And the only loophole was there is because Honda pulled out. And Red Bull didn't want a partnership with anyone else. They wanted a say in their engine.
and I think the same thing's going to happen when Ford joins.
Yeah,
As in-
absolutely.
Yeah. It will be a Red Bull developed engine.
Yeah, like they'll give them the
Just
specs
with
and
a
go,
Ford,
"You
Ford
build
badge.
it,"
Yeah, just with a Ford badge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and a little bit of Ford tweaking in it.
Yeah. But it will be developed for Red Bull. The Red Bull
Which-
aren't buying an engine off of someone
which
else
then-
that another team's
Then
developed.
to me makes the engine modulation or the engine freeze that we're in at the moment utter bullshit.
There should never have been an engine freeze.
No, but
There
then
should have
Red
never
Bull,
been an engine
Red
freeze.
Bull chucked their wobbly as usual and said, "If you don't give us this, we're going to be fucked and we're out of the sport." They
So-
knew what they were doing.
So be it.
Yeah?
They all do it. Formula
So
One
I think
teams.
we all just
Although, like Mercedes have gone from like having the bad power unit to a good power unit, or maybe they developed the aero enough to like make it a good power unit again.
Yeah. I think though the real test is when it all changes in 2026. That's when the real game begins.
Have you seen some of the new specs for 26?
I know they've got to run 100% biofuel.
Yeah, they can only put in 30% fuel, I believe. The rest has got to be run by battery.
Is it?
Yeah.
I thought it was 50-50.
I seen a thing the other day. It was saying it's got to be 30%.
Yeah,
Only
no,
30% of the.
Because Red Bull was cracking up about how it's got to be 50-50 power generation. 50% from the internal combustion and 50% from the battery, the electrical
Right.
stuff. And Red Bull want it to be 60-40. 60% from the internal combustion engine and 40% from the battery.
Yeah.
Because Toto Wolff came out and said the only reason why they're saying that is because they can't get their fucking engine to work properly.
Properly, yeah.
And they can't get their electronic stuff to work properly, and they're running scared, and they want the rules changed, despite the fact that everyone agreed to it. And
Yeah.
these 50-50 rules were what got Audi and Honda, even Porsche, excited
Yeah.
about wanting to come into F1. And now Red Bull's like, "Oh no, we want it to be 60-40." And Toto's just like, "No, fuck you."
Which, fair enough. If all the teams agreed, it's 50-50.
And every other team is sitting there going, obviously, except for AlphaTauri, all the other teams are sitting there going, "We signed off on 50-50.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a you problem, not an us problem.
Change your fucking car.
Yeah. Right. So moving right along now, we're at the 2023 driver standings after the Hungarian F1. Surprise, surprise. coming in first is Max Verstappen on 281 points.
Woo.
Second place is Sergio Perez with 171 points. Third place is Fernando Alonso on 139 points. I don't think he's going to be there for much longer. Fourth place is Lewis Hamilton with 133 points. Call me strange, call me kooky. I don't think he's going to be there much for longer. Fifth place is George Russell with 90 points. Sixth place is Carlos Sainz with 87 points. Seventh place is Charles Leclerc on 80 points. Eighth points, bumping up a place, Lando Norris with 60 points. Ninth place, going down a position, is Lance Stroll with 45 points. And rounding out the top 10 is Esteban Ocon in the Alpine with 31 points. And then we get the 2023 team standings. Red Bull Racing on 452 points.
They reckon if Red Bull keep this up, they're going to have the Constructors' Championship awarded to them at Monza.
That wouldn't surprise me at this rate.
And Max Verstappen can win the championship at Singapore.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I thought it was before that. I thought he could win it even
Nah,
earlier.
they're saying last night.
Yeah, right.
Constructors should be wrapped up at this rate by Monza. And then, yeah, Max could be champion at Singapore.
It'd be funny if they wrapped it up at Zandvoort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that after Singapore?
No, before.
They
It's the
can't.
first race after the break.
Yeah, no, they can't. Apparently, that's the earliest they can do it.
Mercedes is in second with 223 points. Aston Martin is in third with 184 points. Ferrari is in fourth with 167 points. Something tells me Ferrari is catching Aston Martin.
They
So
are
why
catching
the fuck-
Aston Martin.
You mean Fernando Alonso?
Yeah, well,
Hey, Stroll got a point.
yeah, well, he strolled into that, didn't he?
No,
fit-
he didn't. He had to work pretty hard for it, I think.
Was it exactly a stroll in the park? Fifth place is McLaren with 87 points. Well, they've really left Alpine in the dust.
Alpine-
He jumped himself out of the shit heap. Remember that shit pile where I was saying we're all in together? Damn it, McLaren are
We
out
don't
of it.
want to be in the shit pile
It's just
anymore.
me again. It's just me. I wanted a friend.
Yeah, but he's catching me.
Uh,
In sixth place is Alpine on 47 points. In seventh place is Haas with 11, tied with Williams on 11.
come on, we need that one extra point just to jump them Haas
Yeah.
cheating mofos.
Gene won't be happy.
Yeah.
Hey, look, you guys have got a good chance. Like, Spa's a quick track, and Monza's a quick track.
And
Albon
Haas is
came
a
11th
shit box.
Albon came 11th from this race. He's still always up there. So
And he started, like,
Yeah.
19th. Or something. Like, he was
Yeah.
way
It
down.
wasn't
He was, like,
great.
17th or some shit.
yeah, I'm looking forward to Spa. I am looking forward to Spa.
You and me both, buddy. You and me both.
Ninth is Alfa Romeo on 9 points. And then bringing up the rear is AlphaTauri with 2 points.
I don't know. I wonder if it'll stay like that with Danny Rick there now.
You might get him a point or two.
Yeah. Yeah,
The
yeah.
car's so bad. We can't expect him to put in some kind of performance
Look,
that's going to get
I
a podium
think-
or something. It's
I
just,
think AlphaTauri is going to finish as the wooden spooners, but they're going to get very close to Alfa Romeo. I think Williams are going to jump past, though.
Alfa Romeo, man. Zogon you started. They had 2 cars in Q3, and none of them finished in the top
this would have
10.
been a huge race for him. It would have literally jumped them up to 6.
It would have got them past Williams and Haas,
Yeah,
just scoring a couple of points.
yeah. So they really,
They fucked that up.
Right. So moving right along. So that was the drivers and teams. Now we get to the social media stuff. So we get the YouTube channel. So first of all, it's on my personal one, which is Vindicator 18. Look up the F1 chat. Also on the dedicated F1 chat channel, the F1 chat 1.
Don't forget the one.
Don't forget the one. Yes. Then there is the Facebook page called the F1 chat.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to us on there. We won't bite.
Communicator.
Hard.
Yeah. If you got
Yeah.
questions, if you got questions for the potty,
Yes.
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 Ask
Throw 'em in.
Input.
input.
Yes.
Input, please.
We were also on the Twitter,
Yes.
which is the F1 chat 1.
Don't forget the one, but I actually updated it with the race notes this week, so
Woohoo.
I didn't do it last race, so
That's all right. Last week on the video, I left out the Facebook page.
No, it's fine.
Yeah. Well, I had to edit it fast so I could run my girlfriend to the airport. So.
Yes.
No, I had to go to the airport the next day. That's right. Yeah. We also have the Rumble.
Yep.
F1 chat.
That's the one.
And we are on the Spotify with the F1 chat.
That's us.
We are.
So we are spreading like a virus or Agent Smith's version of the human race all over the Matrix.
That's it.
Right.
All over the Matrix.
That's right, Mr. Anderson. So, we are back next week
Hell yeah.
with the Spa F1. It's kind of weird.
My favorite track. My favorite
Yeah,
track.
I
Let's go.
love it. I love it too. The 1998 race, watch it. It is just primo.
I know, the 2000 race is pretty good too.
That too. When Mika did that really great overtake on the Michael,
Mm-hmm.
that was a really great effort. And so we're back next week. And then 2 weeks after that, we've got our mid-season special, which is going to be fun and interesting. We're not doing the our dream teams or anything like that.
Yes,
We're-
we're ditching that concept finally.
I really enjoyed it, but I just got sick of listening to JB whinge about it.
Yeah.
Because, he really
I
enjoys
was
some
sick of-
cheese to go
I
with
was-
his wine.
I was sick of whinging about it.
So what we're going to do is we're going to do our favourite liveries over Formula One history. They got to be on a real car, though.
Mm-hmm.
Our favourite cars in F1 history with, statistics, stuff like that. And our favourite moments over F1 history.
And what was the other one we decided earlier this podcast? It was a decent one. Favourite rivalries.
Yes.
There it is.
Yes.
We'll throw that one in there because that
Yes.
will be an interesting talk.
And it'll be interesting as well because it's around the time of the year when we sit down and watch the movie Rush as well.
1st of August.
Chances are that episode I will actually recite the opening monologue from Rush just purely because I can. It's my damn show. I'll do what I want.
That's right. You have my permission.
Yes. Have a drink on me.
Thanks. Might have to.
Yes. Right. So we will see you next week. Thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the episode. Please interact with us on the social medias. It's also really odd to be doing an episode where all of us seem rather well. For a
Yeah, this
change.
is a first, isn't it?
I still have a little bit of a tail.
What did we do this week, boys? Yeah, what have we done?
Because it's raining outside.
Keep it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's cold as shit in here.
I got a candle going.
You got the candles keeping my
I only
fingers
sprayed myself with propane to get it going.
Yeah, we almost blew up the place.
yeah, that's all right.
Almost did become Pipe Bomb
Yeah,
Studios.
it was bloody Ferrari bloody lighter to get it to work. Yeah. Anyway, until next week, thank you for tuning in, and we will see you in a week's time for our review of the Spa F1. Until then, it is goodbye.
Yes. I have run every test on this cold fusion formula and must conclude that it is not merely incomplete, but rather impossible.
You may as well try to create perpetual motion, Mr. Tretiak.
I invest millions. And you can't make it work! What are you doing with my money? Do you think it comes so easy? No!
But, sir, I have been working for nearly 2 weeks without sleep. At first blush, the theorem appears quite impressive, convincing.
It does. Yes. It does. Good man. We can use it to destroy our enemies.